Weather wagers time again. I am Brett Thakara.
And hello, everyone. I am Dan Tomaso. I, too, am searching for a coaching job because everybody else is.
Well, it does seem to be one of the most unique coaching carousels in years because there hasn't been a lot of turnover. You know, everybody signed these monster deals in 2021, including James Franklin and others. And now the price is due, so to speak. And so it's going to be a fascinating search. We're going to get into that. You can find this podcast wherever you get your podcast. We tell you every week, but it is worth repeating. New episodes drop on Thursdays, at least for now. ABC27.com, ABC27 News Plus. Our app is everywhere you want to be, on Apple, on Roku, on Amazon Fire Sticks, on Samsung TVs, and then, Dan, wherever you get your podcasts, and, of course, on YouTube.
Absolutely. And, of course, you want to be tuning in because week by week, things just continue to evolve and change. I mean, as we kind of know that they do, I just feel like, in general, you mentioned it, this is becoming craziness, absolute craziness, bizarre stuff going on. And, you know, Penn State was kind of at the front of it.
Well, they were, because we were the first school to really drop their coach, the first big school anyway, and we're going to get into all of that, of course. But, again, I want to remind people, we are meteorologists. Yep. We talk about the weather. We're following the
same way you are.
Right. We're not journalists. We're not breaking any stories here. We're following the stories, though, and giving you our opinion, and that is the key here, and our opinion does count maybe just a little bit because we are alums.
We are alums, and we were Franklin defenders, and I still am for the most part. It's amazing to me how many texts I've gotten from people I haven't heard from in years about this whole situation. It has people talking.
Well, it does, but I think from if you're an outsider, Dan, and honestly, it shouldn't be that surprising. It has followed the road that many of these coaching issues take, and that is you've got a coach that is entrenched with the program. Anytime you're in a program more than about 10 years, things probably get stale.
Sure. Not everybody gets to be Joe Paterno.
Right, and that's long gone. But also, you know, not that things in Penn State were getting stale necessarily, but what I mean by that is when a coach signs a big deal that's worth a lot of money, and then you get a different boss in there, like a new athletic director, that coach is going to be under a lot more scrutiny. And
that's
Franklin,
the case for a lot of jobs, by the way.
It is. No, yeah, whether you're a college football coach or not, although the best job in the world is a fired college football coach.
These days, yeah.
But you know, the one thing about Franklin is, too, that he asked and complained, and rightfully so, that he wasn't being given the resources to compete in today's modern college football world. He was then given those resources, and the season blew up. And so between a weary fan base, a new boss, and losses to UCLA and Northwestern, it was time that it happened. He showed up on game day this week, and I had, much like the James Franklin tenure itself, after that interview, I received texts from two camps, basically, and I want your opinion on this.
Sure.
The first camp was that everything that he said and did was classic Franklin, and that was good. He's launching himself for a new job. He didn't trash Penn State. He said he had many happy memories there. Doesn't understand exactly what happened, but all of a sudden he's out, and we move on with life. And to me, he's a classy guy. He's got integrity. He did what I thought that he would do, and you said, we're James Franklin defenders, supporters. I thought it was probably time, but having said that, I miss him. I'm going to be rooting for the guy.
Me too.
I want him to be happy at his next stop. But then you had the other camp, and that is Franklin's very calculated. He's that snake oil salesman. He's going out there, you know, the losses weren't mentioned. You had Nick Saban saying that his firing was unfair, both Jimmy Sexton clients, right? And all of this was very well orchestrated as the Franklin PR machine cranks up. Now, all of that could also be true, but I say to those people, well, what do you want him to do? I mean, if he wants to coach, he's got to kind of do that.
He's got to sell himself, sure.
So I'll shut up and give you the floor here. What did you make of that interview?
Just the classic professional that he is. A lot of the same quotes we've heard throughout the years, you know, throughout the tenure that he had here, that, you know, he was focused on his student athletes. He was focused on the program as a whole. And you know, while he says it was a surprise, I'm sure he felt some of the tension within the program, felt tension from those above him. But again, he did so much, and we forget all the different steps sometimes that it took to get to this point. And he just came off a college football national semifinal championship. And again, I will be forever grateful for that run. I'll be grateful for 2016 and some of the other runs in between. But it's just, again, in the immediacy of it all, I think people always want more from someone like this. And to that I say, listen to other press conferences that coaches give. This man is a class act where, depending on who we get for this job, you might not be a fan of what they say at the podium either.
Well, and that's what we talked about. Now, I think the defense had run out of, okay, but who are we going to get that's better? Who are we going to get? Well, listen, the time had just run its course, and after a decade plus, it's time to make a change, and I certainly get that side of it now after the football that I watched this season being particularly mediocre, and we have not beaten a Power 4 team yet, Penn State. So I do get all of that. But like you said, I'm grateful for what he was able to do because he set us up for the modern era, and the next coach is not going to have any excuses to hit the ground running.
This is the first true coaching search this program has completed since Rip Engel gave way to Joe Paterno.
Let's talk about James Franklin since we're on that subject. Where do you think he ends up, and what would be a good fit for him? Because, Reese Davis said it at the end of the game day interview, and you and I know it. He might have his pick. I mean, there's going to be plenty of jobs open.
Well, let's think about this. And this is where your head can kind of start to spin a little bit because you have jobs that are open now, and that includes Florida. That includes Penn State. You have potentially a lot more coming open. The Mike Norvell situation in Florida State is far from settled. But
Oklahoma State, Arkansas.
Right.
I mean, those are open.
And so then this is where things get a little bit silly. Coaches leave for those jobs, then there's other vacancies that pop up. Coordinators start moving around. Those jobs pop up, and it becomes such a mess in so many ways.
It's a mess. Now, the one thing that Franklin has going for him is he's not working right now. So he can jump in. Now, does Franklin go to a place like in Oklahoma State or in Arkansas where, well, hold on a second, where the ceiling is not as high and where the pressure is not as high, but especially at a place like Arkansas, I mean, maybe he gets them back to 9 or 10 wins and possibly gets into the playoff. Now, they might be ready to hire Bobby Petrino. We're going to see what happens with them this week. But
I mean, they played pretty well this past weekend, to give them credit.
Well, their offense did. Their defense has been a problem, but Bobby's an offensive coach, and he's been fine. Now, or does Franklin shoot higher, right? And what I mean by that is like a Florida State, like a Florida. Now, I don't think Florida's going to hire him. I just get the feeling that, again, no matter what, Franklin does have this big game thing hanging around his head. So he does have that to overcome. And plus, again, his last 2 losses as a head coach, not great.
Yeah.
However, what about a place like Virginia Tech? He can recruit that area. He can win the ACC if he gets to be a respectable level pretty easy. I still think that or North Carolina would be great landing spots for him.
But if you're talking ACC, I think Florida State's the best.
Well, that's not open. And I know North Carolina isn't either. But of the 2, I think North Carolina has a better shot at being open, but maybe not. I mean, Florida State has not won an ACC game in a long time.
And they're not guaranteed anything over the next couple of weeks.
How did they beat Alabama?
Any given Saturday kind of thing, right? Maybe Alabama wasn't quite ready for the game. Maybe there were some extenuating circumstances there. And by the way, Kalen DeBoer all of a sudden is a very hot name is he happy in Alabama? Is he not? We don't know any of these things. It's just speculation that's circulating around the web, and he seems to be rolling. I mean, they're on a win streak, and they're winning SEC games. So it really does seem like it's week to week anymore.
And again, you talk about Mike Norvell having perhaps the Sharks circling. I'll tell you somebody else that's got him. Brian Kelly.
Oh, I thought you were going to go Dabo Sweeney after this past weekend.
No, listen, though. Dabo Sweeney, I know you were out on him at the beginning of the year. You were right on that. But the 2 national titles that means something.
Sure.
So let's just forget about Dabo because those 2 titles are going to buy him more time. Now, by the way, coordinators there are probably going to be changed.
Yes.
But Brian Kelly, he does not have the national titles, and yet he was expected to bring one to LSU. If Les Miles and Ed Orgeron can, Brian Kelly, in theory, seemingly has been, over his body of work, a better coach. He is not delivering that. I was just listening
to how good their recruiting hotbed is down there. I mean,
well, no, and so for him to fail, I'm telling you, if he doesn't make the playoff this year, it could get ugly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this weekend's a big weekend for him. They need to pick up some SEC wins here to stay relevant in the conference and also stay up in the rankings. Now, similar to Penn State, they've lost close games. It's not like they're getting blown out. It's just something seems to be just a bit off.
Well, and again, that same thing with Penn State. Now, let's talk about the Penn State coaching search.
Sure.
Who's out there? Who do you like? We know the name. Everybody is circulating, and you have said to me that you think it's a fait accompli that Matt Rule is the guy.
I do.
When you look at the politics of it, sure, I understand that. When you look at the football aspect, though,
Not great.
You watched the entire Nebraska-Minnesota game last week as a scout, and your thoughts were what?
My thoughts were, if people didn't like the offense the way it stands with Andy Kolnicki and James Franklin, you are going to want to be sick after watching the Nebraska offense. And again, this is with a highly touted quarterback, stop me if this sounds familiar, that can't get the ball down the field. And the wide receivers were non-existent.
And doesn't he have a pretty famous OC as well,
yes,
Dana
he
Holgerson?
Does. Dana Holgerson. So is it the state of college football right now that's just really, really strange, and these kids are not understanding offensive concepts?
Well, look at Clemson. Look at LSU.
I know.
There's
it's
a lot
bizarre.
of bad offenses out there,
it's
folks.
It's a really bizarre thing going on right now, and then there's really good ones.
But the bigger deal is here, we know the relationship with Penn State's AD. We know that he's
a Letterman.
He's also a homebody, right, or a homecoming for him, Matt
yep.
Rule. But it doesn't seem like a lot of fans want him. What has he done that's been better than James Franklin? Not a lot. But that being said, who's a realistic candidate?
Well, I think that's when you take a step back, and this is my philosophical question to you, that was this firing more about getting rid of James Franklin than it is about the next person? Because the names are not fantastic that are out there.
Well, I think a little bit of both, perhaps. Again, the new boss always is going to want to put his guy in there. But, I mean, there was very little reason to move on from Franklin until this year when, again, it fell apart on the guy, and this was supposed to be the year. So I think there was reason. But at the end of the day, no matter when you did it, whether it was last year, and of course there was no reason last year he made the national semifinals, but the next year, whatever, the argument was always going to be, you're firing Mark Richt, you've got to find your Kirby Smart.
Sure.
And finding a Kirby Smart is very tough to do. Now, do you go for a coordinator? Do you go for a group of five head coach like Indiana did, and they hit the lottery with Kirk Cignetti? I keep hearing the next JMU coach, James Madison's coach, Bob Chesney. Shiner likes it. Is he somebody that Penn State would look at? Or are the powers that be, are their minds made up that this is Matt Rule?
Here I think is the most important factor in all this. You need someone that can now manage this landscape, and perhaps James Franklin's ultimate downfall was this new landscape of NIL and transfer portal and trying to figure it all out, trying to work the balance sheet to make it work.
And he wouldn't be alone.
No, and that's the problem. So you need someone that can navigate all that. Maybe it is bringing in a general manager to help with that aspect of it, because he really didn't have that. I know Andy Frank was that in sort of his role.
Right,
but,
and he's going to be going with James Franklin.
But, look at USC. Look at some of these programs that have invested a lot of money in this general manager concept. And if you hire a coordinator that's never been a head coach before, I think it's a must.
Good points. Shiner, what do you love about Bob Chesney? I brought his name up and you convulsed over there.
I don't know if that's what happened. No, I think obviously he followed under Cignetti, and, they obviously made great transitions from a smaller school to a bigger school. The only thing that I would be a little concerned on is the recruiting aspect of it. You're not going to be bringing in a lot of transfer portal guys from JMU, I don't think. But
why not? Indiana did.
Yeah. Well, true.
That's what made the Indiana.
Why not?
That situation
you got a good point
so
there.
unique.
You're right.
These guys can flash. We don't know. And by the way, whether it's Chesney or another coach, you have to remember that this roster is going to look a lot different next year.
Oh, for sure. And I don't know.
Fernando.
I'm just sick of hearing the same names over and over again. And maybe you need to go on that next, wild card kind of guy, that's not already immersed into a program.
And but here's a name I brought up this week with some buddies, and it's not a name that is getting tossed about a lot, but Fran Brown. Fran Brown is at Syracuse. He's one heck of a recruiter. He won 9 games there, which is tough. Now, I got some pushback. Now, by the way, I'm not advocating for this. I want everybody to know. But the thought about going out and getting a guy that's not, a Lane Kiffin, who's not coming to Penn State, but just, you hear, Shiner, to your point, the same names. Get a Fran Brown that knows how to recruit the Northeast, give him every resource in the world, and not the, what's it called? The dome up there?
Carrier Dome?
Yeah, give him Beaver Stadium, a renovated Beaver Stadium, and not the Carrier Dome, and let the guy cook. You don't want Matt Rule. Now, by the way, Fran Brown is a Matt Rule disciple.
I was going to say, there's connections there with Pat Kraft.
But what if you got to go out and get somebody off the beaten path? like a Kirk Cignetti, like a Fran Brown that comes from a smaller school and could maybe cook a little bit.
Yeah, I just want to see that cooking happen now in Syracuse because since they lost Steve Angeli, their quarterback, they have not looked like a very good team.
I understand, but Dan, I mean, come on. Anybody that loses their quarterback is probably going to look like that.
Well, not everybody, though.
Lane Kiffin didn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's with a guy from D2.
Yeah, so he's got it. Now, let's talk about the Nittany Lions the rest of this season. By the way, I mean, just to put a period on this, you're convinced it's Rule.
I'm convinced it's Rule, a name I would really like to see given a lot of consideration, and he came under the Penn State tutelage, is Joe Brady. So there's some nice little connections there. It's just the question of why has he never been the head guy anywhere before?
And he may not want it.
He may not want it.
But, it's a lot of work, especially on the college level with recruiting.
But he's young, he's energetic, and that would be a breath of fresh air, I think.
I liked what I saw from Penn State on Saturday. I know we lost. That was a classic Penn State loss, too. You're up by 11 late in the game, and you just let it fade away. There's lots of issues with the offense, lots of issues with the defense.
A lot of praise goes to Terry Smith.
Yes, for getting them to play.
I don't have a lot of praise for Terry Smith, to be honest with you. And part of that is, why are we doing a 2-quarterback system when we're thin at that position? And B, why do you go for it on 4th down on your side of the field when you're stealing a win in Iowa City? I know Kirk Ferentz gave us points in the first half, but we gave them points to an offense that had virtually nothing going for them.
There was a lot of decisions in that game that were weird, okay? And I mean really weird. And so, it's really going to be one of those issues where, Dan, I find it hard to believe that you said that about Terry because...
he looked like a deer in headlights to me. I'm sorry to say it.
Well, I disagree. I think he got the guys to play with fire. I thought that he, used Katron Allen in a better fashion than we had seen. And I think a lot of this was left to Andy Kotelnicki, who also had he had an interview this week where he basically admitted he didn't know why the offense was going wrong.
That wasn't great.
And that was not a great look either. So I guess my question to you is, can this team win another game?
Sure, because as I've said to you many times before, as long as they keep playing these close games, anything can happen, and it almost happened. It almost fell in our lap that, A, we had a big interception in the first half, and then, B, we get that field goal block returned for a touchdown. That's a recipe to win. And if the defense gets one stop in the second half, we likely win that game. Now, what's very surprising to me is Penn State is in the top 20 for defenses in terms of points per game. I would have never guessed that.
I mean, clearly, though, and there's been a lot of talk about Jim Knowles' difficult defense.
Yeah,
and
sure.
He's gotten a lot of praise, but is the defense too difficult? And did Franklin make a mistake by bringing him in when...
I do think the timing was a mistake.
This
I don't
was a
think
national
he's a mistake.
championship year.
Right.
And you've got to have everything lined up. Now, we also have had our own fair share of injuries that haven't helped. Obviously, the quarterback's down. Obviously, Tony Rojas. We were thin at linebacker to begin with. So these are all issues that have led to...
a compounding problem.
Problem. So, again, does Penn State win another game this year?
I think so, and I think they have a chance of being 6-6. I think they're very, very close. And let's not forget, no matter how bad they seem to be, they play Indiana and Ohio State tough. And I don't think that's going to change one iota. So just keep that in mind that we may not win, but I think they're going to be good games, and I think they're going to play up for it. Plus, whatever's going on behind the curtain here, there was an offense being installed of some type this week in the off week. Maybe we see some different wrinkles.
It's going to be fascinating to watch, but
Plus,
I think it's going to be tough to win another game.
Plus.
I don't think they win a game.
Okay, well, you can think that, but I want to see what some of these young guys are going to do, and I think they're going to get a chance to prove themselves.
Well, it's funny. I praised Terry Smith. You didn't. I don't think they're going to win another game, and you do. Life is so funny, right? Yep. All right, let's get to the boards, and we are going to talk about our pick results from last week. I had a brutal week. We flip-flopped this week. I went 3-7.
Well, this is what I'm talking about, the week-to-week nature of it right now.
Yes, and Dan, you went 6-4. How about Vanderbilt going in, LSU had to go to Nashville, but they beat them up. I mean, they were the better football team.
It's hard to imagine, but again, this is the current era that Diego Pavia is basically an adult quarterback right now playing this game, and his game is very, very solid. He's converting on third down. He's making big plays against big defenses. It's fun to watch.
It is. And another game that was really fun to watch was Kirby and Lane go at it. And by the way, big game Lane, you talk about a guy that doesn't often win this type of a game, it's Lane.
And fourth quarter, they were non-existent. After the offense looked so good for 3 quarters, that fourth quarter was ugly. It's like they forgot how to play football.
I got Vegas there because Georgia won by 8 points.
Yes.
And then I got Vegas in the USC Notre Dame game because Notre Dame won by 10 points. So you stole a couple there. Congratulations.
I did.
We both got the Lane, by the way, did post a pic. He won the day because he posted a pic where he was doing hot yoga with a couple of instructors.
I did see that. And again,
so
Penn
he
State,
wins.
be careful what you wish for.
Well, I mean, hey, the guy's living life. Love hot yoga. Browns -2.5. We got easy money with the Patriots. Tell you what, the Buccaneers let us down, didn't they?
They did.
And Baker
And
Mayfield, what's going on?
I don't know. They're back to their inconsistent ways. I feel like the script is always there for the Buccaneers. They start hot and then they retreat back to 500.
Now look at my run there from the Buccaneers down. Just a bunch of X's. Dan Mullen. Oh, he tried to fight back, but I should have known that was a very Vegas line. Dan Mullen undefeated. You go to the blue turf. Lay those points.
Game.
So good for you, Dan. You got that right. I did not get the over. Now, I had the right idea.
You did.
Oh, I said Ohio State would score all of them, and they did.
They did.
But they didn't get to 41.
Wisconsin and Luke Fickell basically throwing up the white flag saying we need to go back to our roots and run the ball and get the big boys up front.
Does he survive the year? You talked about Mike Norvell. How about Luke Fickell?
Their AD is basically asking for a redo. So it seems like unless the AD gets fired, Luke is going to stay. Because here's the deal. Programs like Wisconsin that don't pump a lot of money into the football program can't afford these buyouts.
Yeah, they can. And sometimes it may be best to ride it out and see, even though things look bleak.
He's
there.
a very good coach. It's just their system did not
the
work.
situation there, though, is rough. Unfortunately, because they're always one of the best brands in the Big Ten, and we need them to be better. Now, I will say the last 2 games I missed, unthinkable. I thought Texas Tech would go in and wipe the mat with Arizona State.
That was the upset of the weekend, I think.
Kenny Dillingham. I mean, there's a name to keep an eye on, too, in this coaching search, wherever he may end up. And then Utah, again, not quite like these classic Kyle Whittingham teams. BYU remains undefeated, and they look like the class of the Big 12
By
right
the
now.
way, they're underdogs this weekend going into Iowa State.
Well, we're going to see that game. So keep that in mind. And then, Dan, Penn State actually covered for once.
Penn State covered. The time I pick against them, I followed your trend, and it didn't work for me. UCLA.
You got Vegas.
What a story UCLA continues to be, and they're going to come up again in later discussion.
Well, they did win.
But
they won by 3.
And
so you got Vegas with the hook.
Point.
Yeah.
And then Missouri was lucky to get out of there with a win because to me they didn't deserve it. Eli Drinkwitz, who I think very kindly of as a coach, and he's successful, but thinking they made a field goal and him running onto the field was not a great look. That reminded me of something James Franklin would do.
But I'll tell you, he just got into the moment.
He got into the moment.
But they did win the game. Now, there's another name. Hugh Freeze. Is he cooked?
See, here's the thing. I think it would be a mistake to fire him because he has them so close. I mean, they are finding ways to lose and lose in different ways right now, and it's very unfortunate because I do think he's doing a good job there.
And the officiating hasn't helped Hugh.
Right, well, and that's
some
the other
reason.
factor, right.
So let's get to the boards. I've got you here. It is, it's tight, but you've retaken the lead. I am 38-44. We both, of course, have losing records, but
we're close enough.
We're close enough, 40-42. This is going to be a tight season, Dan.
And by the way, all the pundits that do this, whether it's ESPN or Fox, the people that pick games,
they're not any better.
It's been a struggle this year.
It's time. Let's cue it up. I believe it's time for our games of the week.
Games of the week.
Yeah. So we, again, as people continue to find us out there, these games are not necessarily the biggest games of the week. Sometimes they are.
Sometimes it lines up.
But we do try to find games where the weather, of course, may have a bit of an impact.
And the weather is turning, my friend.
Well, it's getting cooler, it's getting breezier, and it's getting wetter in some locations. This one is a big game. I'll tell you, we don't talk about this often enough during the season because we have to get all of our other fun stuff in, but ABC is having a bonanza ratings fest with these 3 SEC games. The SEC on ABC has become the brand, and the ratings are phenomenal.
I believe it.
Because casual fans are not flipping the channel. So you get a game at noon like Ole Miss,
And then
Oklahoma.
it just runs into the next
and then
one.
it just runs into the next one. All ranked. It's been phenomenal ratings. They're like over 8 million a Saturday.
That's great to hear. I mean, right here, ABC 27.
Correct. Ole Miss at Oklahoma. That's the noon tilt on ABC. Lane is going to take his train into Oklahoma.
This is wild to me.
It's a wild game, but Oklahoma's favored by 5.5. And
why?
Well, why not?
I mean, come on. After what they looked like against Texas, I don't see it.
Well, I understand that, but Brent Venables has a defense, and Lane kind of chokes in these moments.
Well, I will say, I mean, Trinidad Chambliss was in shambles in the fourth quarter.
And this is at the Palace on the Plains, so Lane's got to travel. So I think that's a fun one. Now, an interesting game here. These are all weather games, by the way. Illinois' got to go to Washington. These seem to be two evenly matched Big Ten teams.
Very, very close matchup.
A tight line. Both coaches, very good. People are talking about Jed Fish for the Florida job. He's got some connections down there. What do you think of old Jed?
I think he's in the right place for his situation. I don't think much of him as a coach. I've seen their offense, and it ain't pretty.
Meanwhile, speaking of not pretty, how about Garrett Nussmeier and LSU? They need a night win in Baton Rouge. The Bayou Bengals coming in, losing to Vandy, but Mike Elko, another name that has been attached to the Penn State job.
Yeah, he's a New Jersey native.
I think that would be a home run, personally.
I think it would be a home run, too. But if his role in this SEC season right now continues to go downhill and he's gaining momentum week by week, I don't think he's going anywhere, and I think they'll throw the bag at him.
Hey, sweetheart, Texas A&M, small road favorite.
I know.
Beware.
Beware
right.
in Baton Rouge.
Take us through. I'll click for you. Talk to the folks about the weather.
So this is a system we've been watching for our weather locally. Now it's taking more of a southern dive, which affects these storms. So we have Norman right in the thick of it during the day Saturday. Baton Rouge getting more involved as the day goes on. This is going to be heavy rain.
By the way, that lines up because the kick in Norman is at noon, and then Tiger Stadium is at night. Look at Saturday night. You could be talking about
pretty ugly.
A heavy rainstorm.
Heavy rainstorm, which would favor a slower offense. Maybe think about the under.
Look at that.
I mean, this was something I've been watching for our local forecast for about a week's time. This has been a big system to follow.
Winds in Baton Rouge may kick around, I would suspect, by the evening hours. So, while I don't expect the wind to be a huge factor, keep an eye on that by the end of the game.
Keep an eye on lightning, too, especially in the warm, humid weather there in Louisiana. It's still warm down there.
All right, take us through the Illinois-Washington kick.
Well,
That's at 3:30.
Pick your poison. I mean, this is
cold and wet.
Pacific Northwest weather at its finest. Wet weather continuing throughout the day into the afternoon. Temperatures raw in the 40s and 50s. I'm sorry, Bert. This is going to be a tough, tough task to beat the Huskies on the road.
In the shadows of Mount Rainier. Look at that. And Mount Rainier is an active volcano, right?
Did you know that? It is. Yes, it is.
I don't know what that has to do with the game, but I know
it's a little feature out there.
We listened to Andy and Ari on 3. Ari is always fascinated that that's an active volcano, and it's right there. You can see it from the stadium. It really is a neat stadium.
Mount St. Helens is in the background too, I believe. I mean, it is a very interesting road trip for any Big Ten team.
It is. But Ohio State survived it. Are you showing your hand there? You don't think Bert's going to get out of there with a win?
I don't think Bert's going to get out of there with a win.
It's going to be windy, breezy, I should say.
Yeah, out of the south. So, again, this is a very sheltered area.
Yes.
But they do get windy from time to time with these coastal storms.
All right, Dan, take us through the Sunday matchups because these are the pro games, again, that could have some weather to them.
The Patriots are on a roll. Watch out for the Patriots in the AFC. AFC's wide open. And the Browns have a chance of getting alive again in the playoff race because they're winning games. Dylan Gabriel, again, serviceable this past week. Beat Miami, beat Mike McDaniel, who was stuttering and mentioning benching players and not making a whole lot of sense. I wonder if he gets any college looks, by the way.
Well, North Carolina might need a coach. Cowboys, Broncos. This is a fun one.
This is a fun one.
I like both teams, and I say when I say like, I don't like the Cowboys, but I like the fact that they're just kind of hanging around.
Yep,
the
Broncos.
Broncos
Dak is hot right now.
Yes, he is. But the Broncos seemingly are the better team. They're favored at home, and I think they should be.
You say that, but they had a heck of a time with the Giants, and really the Giants gave away the game in the fourth quarter. I watched a good bit of that. It was here on at the station on Sunday when I was working, and it's just everything that the Giants could have done to lose that game, they did.
Yeah, but again, that I think certainly says more about the Giants. But
Well, if they would have won that game, they would have been back in the playoff race.
yeah, and they play the Eagles this week. What's going on with the Commanders and Chiefs? Is this line because of the injury?
Yeah, poor Jaden Daniels, who's obviously not had the same year he did last year. Last year, he lit the league on fire with his mobility, his speed, and he's had this hamstring issue that now has come up again, and there is no quick timetable for his return. So it's the Marcus Mariota show as they go into Arrowhead.
Well, that line, by the way, so, little inside baseball here. Dan will sometimes work on our graphics the day before, and you had the line plugged in as -10.
And now it's grown.
And in one day it went to 12.5.
Yeah.
I think that tells me all I need to know.
Well, and by the way, too, it's not just, I should be fair, Jaden Daniels has had his injury problems this year, but their wideouts are decimated too.
Yeah. Let's take a look, though, at the forecast, and you can see
Denver.
what we got. Well, Denver should be fine,
Yes,
shouldn't
just
they?
cold, just cold.
And what we thought looked like a storm for Kansas City, that's going to be more over in the Tennessee Valley. I think both.
It's going to pass, yeah.
I think both places will be fine. And honestly, 62 degrees in Kansas City at kick.
Not bad, but
that'll be
windy.
fine.
I think it's going to be windy in the wake of that storm passing by. And then Denver, you have to watch for light showers, maybe some wet snowflakes in the elevation areas. But there's the wind. Again, not overly big, but that's consistent, about 10 miles per hour.
Foxborough, too, they escape with a very, very classic New England type of day.
It's kind of damp, a little cloudy at times, temperatures in the 50s. I think weather will not be a huge factor, but this is the time of the year where wind is almost always in play now.
Well, right, and especially in New England, although
Northwest
there again,
flow, 5 to 10.
A little bit, yeah. You could see some things there, but these are pro kickers, luckily. Let's get into our picks. We do differ on some of these. Dan, explain your thinking about picking Lane Kiffin going into the Palace on the Plains.
Well, it's kind of like Franklin. It's now or never, and if you're going to win SEC games, I think Oklahoma's the game you have to get. If he's going to continue on this playoff run with Trinidad Chambliss and showing the first 3 quarters of play that they did against Georgia, this should be a game they win.
I think Venables figures it out. I think Oklahoma gets the win at home. I do think 5.5 is a big number, though, for this.
It is a big number.
Shiner break the tie. What do you got? Oh, he's thinking. We stumped him.
Well, what was it again? 55.5, something like that?
5.5.
5.5. Oh, I thought you were saying over under.
No. We're not. Notice we're not going there. We're just picking
you guys are
especially
making
with
the
weather
right
in
pick
play.
here for
and
sure.
there is weather in play, but it is 5.5. It just seemed like a big number to me.
Ole Miss, I think, went 6 straight drives with the score.
Yes.
In that game
They were
against
unstoppable.
Georgia. They were unstoppable, but then Georgia came up with the stop, the one they needed. So, yeah, I think you guys are making the right choice with the money line. If I had to lean, maybe Oklahoma.
Wow.
Ooh, well, yeah, we'll see. Now, again, they say a more efficient offense probably beats a good defense, but we'll see. I think Venables figures it out. Now, not much to say here. We both said the weather's going to be awful in Seattle, and we both like Jed Fish to get the 4 points against Burt.
And Burt's been complaining about their rankings, and there's this whole Big Ten SEC controversy right now that 2-loss SEC schools are higher than 2-loss Big Ten schools. Go out and prove it to me, Illinois. Show me you belong.
It's borderline erotic. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a game in the rain.
Oh, Burt.
It's going to be a game in the rain with Burt and Jed. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Sounds like a 6-9 game or something crazy like that.
Texas A&M at LSU. That is the big night game here on ABC. I am going with Brian Kelly.
Wow, I am shocked by this. For all the hate that you throw that man's way.
Well, first of all, I don't throw it. His fans do. I'm just taking the temperature of the fan base, and they are not happy.
This would be huge for him.
Are you simply going with Texas A&M because you feel they're the better team?
Well, and I think they have the hotter quarterback right now. Nussmeier just is a tick off now. There's been rumors of this oblique injury, and no one knows how bad it is. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe he's not comfortable. But Marcel Reese seems like the real deal at Texas A&M.
Well, I agree with you. The reason I'm going to LSU is there is something to the fabled Tiger Stadium at night. Mm-hmm. And I think Texas,
the environment gets you some points there.
It does, and I just think Texas A&M is due to lose one, and LSU has its back against the wall. I'm picking the situation, which you have to do in college football, more than the team.
I get that.
So that's what's going on there. Now, for our pro picks, these are pretty easy to me. We say that we're probably going to go 0-3.
Well, the pros have been unpredictable too so far.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of bad football.
There's a
Sorry.
lot of bad
and
football.
I think this
keep
is going to
saying
be
that.
bad football, Dan. The Patriots run away with it. We both pick them to cover the
Yeah,
touchdown.
how about the Patriots? Figuring it
Yeah.
out. Drake May looking good.
Well, Mike Vrabel. Again,
Yeah.
it takes the right coach. We both are on the Broncos money line. We're not going to pick the 3.5 here. We like them to win.
Well, after what I saw last week, I can't take 3.5. It's probably going to come down to a field goal.
Well, it very well could, and then we both like the Chiefs. Now, again, you're picking the spread, but I will say that is a big number, and
It is
they
a big number.
probably get it. I'm just going to be safe with the money
and
line.
watch out. Mahomes' numbers, by the way, I mentioned hot quarterbacks. He's coming into form.
Let's go to our under-the-radar matchup.
Under the radar.
All right, Dan, this is a Saturday. You could pick any here because there's a really good group of 5 game, South Florida at Memphis.
That is a good one.
Okay, you mentioned BYU.
Memphis coming off a stunning loss, by the way.
Correct,
Yeah.
and whoever wins that game may represent the American in the playoff.
Yep, big time.
Good game. Another good one is BYU at Iowa State.
Yep.
You mentioned that. That's a little under the radar. But how about this one? Kansas State at Kansas. This is the noon game on TNT.
Weird spot for it, but it's there.
Now, the reason that this is always fun, okay, what is it? Is it the Sunflower Cup? Is
It's
that right?
something like that. I believe you are correct that that's the name for it.
It's a rivalry that has stayed in place here.
Same
Kansas
conference.
is only favored by 3, though, which is very interesting. What do you make of this matchup, especially in a year when both are kind of underperforming a little?
Underperforming a little. I mean, Kleiman opened the season with Kansas State losing in Ireland. They've kind of righted the ship since then. I mean, they're a decent team. They're not great. Both teams still have a shot in the Big 12 if things break the right way. I love Lance Leipold. I mean, I'm actually shocked his name hasn't come up more with the Penn State job open because I think for a few years he could steady the ship and get things rolling in the right direction. But I like Lance's chances here.
I think I'm with you, especially if it's in Kansas, which I believe it is. Shiner, did we get it? Is that what it is?
You were close. Sunflower Showdown.
Ooh, the
Showdown.
Sunflower show. But I knew there was a sunflower.
There's
that
a
was
sunflower.
Wind
there.
comes whipping down the plains.
that was the important part. Let's get to my best bets this week.
Time now for Brett's Best.
Well, and keep in mind, we should mention there's probably weather in that game too.
In Kansas? Yes,
Yes.
there probably will be because that's right in that alleyway
Yes.
of that storm.
Yep.
So just, again, kind of fell into that one, but we'll see. All right. I have South Florida at Memphis for my best bets.
Little
This
tease.
is noon on the Deuce. And by the way, I know Memphis had a loss. I think their defense is suspect. Look at the over-under in that game.
It's huge.
It's 62. Now, I thought about playing it,
South
but
Florida puts up a lot of points.
I am going to take South Florida to cover here. I think they're the better team. What Alex Golish is doing, and by the way, his name should be up for jobs.
Oh, and I think it is, and especially in the state of Florida where he seems to be recruiting very nicely.
And Ryan Silverfield from Memphis, his name should be up for jobs.
Yep.
Again, some underrated guys that are doing big things at their schools. Now, Auburn and the beleaguered Hugh Freeze has to go to Arkansas and take on Mr. Motorcycle. Now, I can hear it. I just hear it. Now, by the way, this opened as Auburn -1. It is now Arkansas -1. And until Hugh Freeze can prove it to me, I'm going to pick Bobby Petrino here.
Wow.
I'm going to pick Bobby. I'm
Even
going
with
to do
that
it.
terrible defense.
Yeah, because I think they're going to outscore Hugh. I mean, what has Hugh Freeze done to say
No.
that he can score points?
Well, or finish a game.
Or
I think-
finish a
yeah,
game.
I think that's the bigger thing.
they
Finish
don't
the
know
game.
how to win yet.
Yep.
So, and by the way, if Bobby
Well,
does this, he might be the coach.
A little bit of a quarterback controversy brewing in
Yes.
Auburn, too. The 5-star Jackson Arnold, again,
Right.
stop me if you haven't heard this before, not living up to expectations and not moving the ball enough down the field. Is there a problem brewing?
But what I
there?
don't get is Hugh Freeze has had very good quarterbacks over his 10 years at Ole Miss and at Liberty. It hasn't worked out that way in Auburn.
Yeah.
It's really strange to me. And then how about this Big Ten game? Minnesota.
A slog.
Okay. Look at that number. Does that look weird to you?
It looks very strange. I think you're going to see this pop up again because I saw this number and it jumped out at me.
Me too. I'm really weirded out by it. I'm going to wait and hold my pick
Mm-hmm.
because I want to see what you have in your Doppler dandies.
It's Doppler Dandies.
Well, I think you're going to see a little bit of repetition here, but it's because things are strange. Now, first, I want to lead off with my UCLA Bruins.
Is this an interesting game?
I think it's
It's
very
big noon.
interesting. It's big noon, and Kirk Cignetti, everything's going so well right now. How many teams go pole to pole in college football anymore?
None.
So something's a little sticky
Maybe
with this
Ohio
line
State,
to me.
but-
But remember the last time UCLA came in as 24.5-point underdogs, and what happened?
Well, they weren't playing Indiana. They were
No.
playing a pretty bad Penn State team
But-
that got exposed, by the way.
We'll see what happens.
It's in Indiana, though. It's in Bloomington.
Mhm.
I can't wait to see who you pick. Now, and again, we don't talk about these, so I
Nope.
think it's funny that we both
Well,
saw that line.
That line, I mean, that's why I picked it. I mean, the over-under's gross, too, at 39. I mean, this is going to be a low-scoring game, but 8.5 points for an offense that, other than a running quarterback, really did not look good against Penn State's defense.
And Penn State's defense has problems. So
Right.
I almost picked I will tell you this, I almost picked the under
Wow.
confidently, but I didn't.
Okay.
So we'll tell you about that. And then Pack Steelers.
I like this game.
Now, that game is not on CBS. I can tell you if it's at 8:20.
Oh, yes, that is my fault. That's the NBC game.
That's the NBC game. But it is the night game. It's a fun game.
It's a fun game because both teams have their flaws. I believe they both have 2 losses, but is Aaron Rodgers actually putting something together in Pittsburgh? I think this is a great test for
Taking
the Steelers.
on his old team.
I know. It's the first reunion of such.
Micah?
I think he's going to have a field day, but we'll see.
All right. Well,
You got a statue standing back there, a 41-year-old statue.
let's get to our final picks.
Final picks.
All right. Ready for this?
I'm ready. Let her rip.
I cannot wait to see what you went with here. All right. These are the final picks for this week. Please use caution if you follow our lead. May want to fade us. Oklahoma versus Ole Miss. We're on opposite sides.
We're
You're
on
going
opposite-
with the lane train.
Yep, I'm going with the lane train again. It's now or never, I feel like, for him.
We both like Washington
We
to
do.
cover
We do.
in the rainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
I like LSU to get it done at home in a rainstorm. You're going to take Mike Elko.
I'm going to take the favorites and Mike Elko. Again, if it's as toxic as it seems with the LSU fan base, this could be it for Mr. Kelly.
Here's where we're basically not different. We're both taking the Patriots to cover. We're both taking the Broncos and the Chiefs. You have the Chiefs to cover.
Yep.
And we're both taking Kansas to cover at home.
We're both taking Kansas to cover at home. Now, again, some of that thinking for me was weather-based. I think they're very close teams, but to me, weather usually favors the home team.
South Florida -5 for me. I'm going to go with Bobby Petrino because, again, I think Hugh needs to find a win. I'm not sure he can do it. And then I'm going to take Minnesota plus the 8.5.
I think that's smart. I really do think that's smart.
Just am shocked by that number, especially after watching what Minnesota did in Nebraska, who I thought was better than that. But, man, what an interesting game. Now, look at your picks.
So I don't think Indiana covers that 25-point spread. I think that is a very hard number against a team that is hotter than hot in UCLA.
And a team that clearly opposing teams right now are having a tough time figuring out.
Right. I mean, again, that's the element of surprise, if you will. And that's why, I think Andy Koldenicki did a lot of great things against Iowa because the offense looked different enough
Yes.
that, kept them on their heels a little bit.
Katrin Allen did run for 145 or something like
And
that.
it was the best the offensive line has looked all season.
Correct, against a very stout D-line.
Yeah.
I was impressed. And but speaking of that, you're going to go with Mr. Kirk.
I'm going to go with Mr. Kirk only because, again, I feel like they got past Penn State. That was a big game for them. Minnesota just always seems to be lacking that extra firepower.
And this game is in Kinnick again,
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah, it's a Kinnick advantage.
And you're picking the Steelers.
I'm picking the Steelers to
Plus
cover,
3.
but not
Whoa.
necessarily win.
Whoa.
I think it's going to be a very, very good game. I think it's going to be the game of the weekend in the NFL.
All right, we need to wrap up with a little bit of Phillies talk.
Yes.
Because it is the offseason. Now, again, I think there's going to be whole episodes that we have devoted to this later in the offseason when we're not talking so much football. But the latest, all the buzz I'm hearing this week, and we have to be quick here, but, I mean, Bryce Harper's not getting traded, is he?
I think at this point in this whole kind of process of going through each offseason and trying to add on to the core, maybe the core does need a little bit of a shakeup.
But he's
And
the guy.
He is the guy, but the danger you have of holding on to him is if he is going to be chronically hurt from here on out, the value is going to continue to drop. So if there is a team out there that's willing to give you some value back and take on part of the contract, I do think you have to think about it. I'm just saying think about it. I'm not saying do it, but
I would be sick. My son would. I don't think he'd watch baseball again.
But if he's hurt all the time and he's not the same guy, isn't that almost as bad to watch?
To be determined.
Okay.
I don't want to answer that
Okay.
because some players transcend that. I think
I hope he
Philly
does. I
and
hope he
Bryce
does.
go together. And now, speaking of that, my son may not be the only one watching baseball again. Why may we not see baseball for a while after next season? Can you explain
so
that?
this whole collective bargaining agreement is coming up, and the owners really, really want to push for a salary cap. And it's basically a non-starter for players because right now baseball is the only professional sport where there is a free market. Essentially, teams can pay whatever they want for players as long as they pay the luxury tax, which is set every year. There's no harm, no foul. But some ownership groups think we need some type of cap to prevent the Dodgers from running away from things or the Mets from running away from things because these owners are richer and richer and richer. I think cooler heads are going to prevail because the game is in a great spot right now. Ratings are up. TV deals are coming up. If there is any type of lockout or shutdown of the game, it's bad news.
Do you feel, and I have felt this way, even with the Phillies not quite making it over the hump, that baseball's in a pretty good spot right now compared to the last decade?
Absolutely.
In
100%.
other words, for all the reasons you just said, I feel like it has some momentum.
It has some momentum, and I think the owners know it's a non-starter for the players to go to the salary cap era. Again, that would have had to been done years and years ago. The cat's out of the bag, and you have all these players like Bryce Harper that have made their money that are saying, no way, no how. That's where the famous meeting came up.
He almost got into a fist fight about it with the commissioner.
Right, that's
didn't he?
where that meeting came about, that
Yeah.
Rob Manfred was trying to perpetuate this idea of a salary cap based. He works for the owners. Keep that in mind. The commissioner of baseball is picked by the owners. And so he's trying to do his due diligence, getting ahead of this problem. The players are like, we don't want to hear it.
Shiner may have had a fist for you if you suggested Bryce Harper be traded again.
No way, no how. He does not go anywhere. The contract that he currently has, utility players are going to be making the
Sure.
same as him.
I understand
in
that.
3 years. There's no way. Even if he drops off, I think the money is right. Now, never say never. I know, but like unless you're getting some ridiculous player that's much younger, like a Vlad Jr. or something like that, I don't know. I can't imagine they ever get rid of him.
Well, I think a storyline to follow, and I'll leave you with this, is do the Phillies get involved in a Tariq Skubal trade idea?
Man, you sleep on that, everybody. We want to hear from you. weatherwagers@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, meteorologist Brett Thackera, meteorologist Dan Tomaso. He's on X and Instagram @DopplerDan. I'm Brett Thack, ABC27 on X and Instagram. This has been fun.
This has been fun, and we're going to have a lot more fun over the coming weeks.
I'm coming for you, by the way, in
okay,
picks.
I'm waiting.
Enjoy your football weekend, everybody. We'll be back here next week.